I'm life and business coach Samantha Siffring, and this is the Badass Mother Podcast, where we talk inspiration and real life tips to rewrite the rules of motherhood and build a life you love while raising kids. Hello, mamas, and welcome to episode 45. I cannot believe it, but we are closing in on a year of this podcast, and I'm pretty blown away. I have been here every week for almost a year and just loving the consistency of this. I was telling my podcast editor recently, this is probably the most consistent I've been for the longest amount of time on some kind of content. And I think it's just knowing there are people looking for this every Wednesday morning in their podcast app, and I want to be there. I want to show up where I have promised to show up. So I'm loving it. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Speaking of consistency, this past weekend, I received a surprise award from my sorority. So for those who don't know, I'm not in college, but I am still involved with my sorority. I've volunteered for the past decade and in a bunch of different roles. I've mentored college women. I've organized fundraising events. I have led the alumni group here in Denver. I've done lots of different things, and it has been really fulfilling. And it was actually one of those first steps. If you listened to my podcast about finding your purpose, it was one of those passions that I wasn't really sure how connected or fit with the other things that I love doing in my life. I knew that I loved mentoring and leading women and developing women leaders, and because that's what I had done in my sorority, but I didn't know how that fit into a career or with my other things. And obviously we know now how it fits in, but that really was one of those first places that I discovered that passion and was given the opportunity to really develop that skill as a leader and a mentor for women. So I'm very grateful for all of the opportunities there. And this is a pretty prestigious award that I received. And I was really kind of surprised to get it, even though I knew I fit the criteria and all of that. I still kind of felt a little shocked. And I told my sister after that all I did was just do the things other people didn't want to do for 10 years. And she was like, isn't that what you and all of your coach mentors teach? Just do the things that most people aren't willing to do consistently for a long time, and that's how you get results. And I was like, yes, that is exactly what I teach. And it worked. So I found that really interesting. I feel like I've been getting a lot of these situations lately where my consistency is really adding up and really paying off and really creating the things that I want it to in my life. So it's really exciting to see that happening in other areas, not just in my business, but in my personal life as well. So I just wanted to share that and share with you just that proof, that evidence that the consistency really pays off and that it can be true in a lot of different areas of your life, not necessarily your business. Okay, I'm excited for today's episode. As usual, of course, I am continuing the Toxic Words to Erase from Your Vocabulary series with the phrase, I don't know. Now, this is one that I hear a lot with my clients, with my friends. This is something that a lot of people say, I don't know, when you ask them a question. And I actually had one client several years ago. She was one of my very first life coaching clients. And it kind of became a joke between the two of us when she would say, I don't know, because it was this red flag that there was something deeper that she wasn't willing to dive into and open up to. So we would both kind of chuckle every time she would say, I don't know. And we were like, okay, there's something here. We need to go deeper. So it's always been a phrase on my radar that I really want people to see for what it is, stop believing from themselves, and really be able to use as kind of that check engine light. I know I use that phrase a lot, but I think there's a lot of different things that we do that can tip us off that we're not living the best life we could, or that we're not thinking super clearly. This is definitely one of them. So let's start by talking about why it's toxic, why I think I don't know is such a toxic phrase. It seems very innocent. It seems like the truth. When we say it, it feels very convincing. But it's actually a giant roadblock that is keeping us stuck. So I don't know feels like a factual observation, but it's truly just a thought. It's a story that we are telling ourselves and accepting as true. It stops you from finding solutions and from being creative. It slams the door on creative thinking, brainstorming, and possibilities. It really closes us off from our higher self and the kind of future-oriented thinking that's actually going to allow us to create different results in our life than what we've created up until now. It's designed to keep us exactly where we are right now. It also puts us in victim mode. Like the world knows something we don't know, and we can't possibly move forward because we don't know something that we really need to know. It's very disempowering. It really takes away our autonomy. It takes away our personal responsibility in whatever situation we're in that we're thinking, I don't know. It's like we have the power in our hands and we just like throw it away. We're just like, get this away from me. I don't know. And it is something that we are doing ourselves and we don't even realize it. Now, here's what I find really, really interesting about I don't know, because a lot of your brains right now, I guarantee it, are like, that's not true. I actually don't know. It's true when I say that. So here's why I think that it is complete BS as an excuse. We hardly know anything if we really think about it. Like really, really think about it. How much do you actually know? It works as an excuse for some things, but not for others. So we'll accept it from ourselves when we're like, what should I do to grow my business? I don't know. But then in other situations where we also don't know, we don't even go there. We don't even think about it. So I was thinking about a really relevant example of this for me is that in a little bit, I'm going to leave the house to go pick up my kids from school. So I don't know for sure that my kids are going to be at school this afternoon when I go to pick them up, right? Like maybe the school had, a horrible tragedy at it. Maybe they were kidnapped. Maybe they were abducted by aliens. I mean, these are like really far-fetched things. Probably not true, but like it's not a guarantee, right? That when I leave to go pick up my kids, they're going to be there. There's also no guarantee that I'm going to make it there safely to pick them up. Car accidents are very common, Yet, I act as if I have 100% certainty that when I leave the house to go pick up the kids, I'm going to make it there safely. I'm going to get there on time. They're going to be there. There are so many things that could happen, but I'm acting as if there is 100% certainty. What if we approached other areas of our life this way? What if instead of saying, I don't know if my business is ever going to work, we approach our business as if we have 100% certainty that it is going to work? Just think about that. Think about all these areas of your life where you're accepting I don't know as a real thing, and think about what it would be like to have 100% certainty. What would it look like to act as if you had 100% certainty instead of didn't know? Okay, you may be curious, maybe you're getting convinced, and now maybe you're curious why we all do this. So this is another one of those things our brain is doing to try to keep us safe. So we all know this, our brains want to keep us safe. That means not changing, not leaving the comfort zone, not doing new things, not thinking new thoughts, not taking new actions. And I don't know is a very powerful tool that most of our brains will use and have used to keep us there in that comfort zone, stopping us from trying new things and exploring and really putting ourselves out there to try to create different results. It's really just one of these ancient things that our brain does to try to keep us protected. So knowing where it comes from can be really empowering, that it's not mean-spirited, it's not to hurt us, it's really to keep us safe, but it is very misguided for modern life. So let's think about what to do instead. So believing I don't know as a story from ourselves is a form of protection, which we've heard, but it is 100% a thought, and every thought we have is optional. So it may pop into your mind against your consent. It pops in there and you're like, oh, there's that thought. And at that point, you have the option to believe it, to feel all the feelings that come with it, to let it lead you down a path and let it control your life and control your actions, or say, wow, that's an interesting thought. I actually am not going to be thinking that thought anymore. Like, thanks, brain, for putting that out there. I know you love being efficient, but actually this one is not one that I'm going to be doing anymore. And then just kind of letting it go. One time I heard somebody talking about meditation, and they talked about when you're meditating and all the thoughts come up and how you can just imagine those thoughts as clouds and imagine them just floating past. Like, yes, they're popping up, tons of them are popping up, but you can just let them float by and not be attached. This is the same kind of thing. When the thought, I don't know, pops up, you don't have to be attached. You don't have to look at it and think, oh, that's true. You can just let it float by and be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why my brain is trying to give me that thought. And what if instead you decided to think a totally different thought instead of I don't know? Here are a few little inspirations to help you get the juices flowing on other types of thoughts. One is a very coachy one. If I did know, what would I do? Or if I did know, what would it be? What would the answer be? So this is kind of a way to suspend the disbelief a little bit, to suspend some of the attachment to having to know the right answer, to just be like, oh, I totally don't know. Like, definitely don't know. But if I did, it might be this. And it's kind of a funny little way to get around your brain and really get yourself past that I don't know roadblock. You can also ask yourself, if there was no wrong answer, what would I do? I think a lot of times we say I don't know because we don't know the guaranteed right answer, which is also impossible to know. So when I am building my own business, when I'm helping a client build their business from scratch, even though I've built a successful business, and even though so many of my clients have built successful businesses themselves, I can't lay out a guaranteed to succeed roadmap for any of my clients. There really is trial and error. There really is some guesswork and some, I think this is right and we're going to see if it is by taking action. That's just part of building a business. If there was a guaranteed roadmap, it would be out there. We would all be doing it. It would be super, super easy. So I think a lot of times we have this idea that there is one right way to do it, and there really isn't. So this can be a great way. Like, if there was no right or wrong answer, what would I do? Because there's a lot of right ways to do anything. Another question to ask, what do I want to do? So I think a lot of times for women in particular, especially those in helping professions, our wants are so far off our radar and so far away from what we are typically thinking about that I don't know is something we'll come up with instead of saying what we want. And I can see this even in some of my clients when it comes to like choosing a lunch spot or something, that they'll just be like, I don't know, I'm good with anything. And I always say this to those clients, like, if you were going to lunch alone, you would be able to make a choice. So you just need to say that choice out loud and be the one who makes a decision and be the one who has an opinion. So I really encourage you, when you find yourself saying, I don't know, like, you've got to figure out what's at the root of that. These questions can help, because sometimes it truly is that you haven't allowed yourself to think about what you want, and you may need to take some time to really envision not just what you want in this particular situation, but more big picture. What do you value? What's important to you? What do you want your life to look like? And some of those answers will really help you to start making some decisions and being more in tune with what you want as you go through your life. Another good question, what am I afraid of? So the client that I mentioned earlier who would say, I don't know all the time, she always knew, and she was always afraid to say that answer out loud. So sometimes asking yourself, what am I afraid of, when you say, I don't know, can help you get that insight into yourself to know why you're throwing up the I don't know. And it can also help you to see what is holding you back, what fears are holding you back. Final question, what am I really thinking? So sometimes we've got a thought going on in our brains that we don't want to say out loud, or we don't want to own for whatever reason. We may not be fearful of it, but maybe we are a little ashamed, maybe we're a little nervous. There might be a lot of different reasons why. So asking yourself, what am I really thinking, can help you to get past the I don't know. All of these questions will help you get past the I don't know, which is the most important thing. And just be willing to handle whatever comes up beyond the I don't know, and trust that you can handle whatever comes up, because you truly can. It's just going to be a thought, it's just going to be a feeling, and you really can handle any thought and feeling that you experience. Trust me. Okay. So once you've gotten past the I don't know, let's imagine your life if I don't know wasn't an option. So what if you truly erased I don't know from your vocabulary? What if you couldn't say it anymore? If you instead regularly said to yourself, I'm going to figure it out, or what do I want? Or there's no right or wrong answer. What if you weren't afraid to hear your own thoughts and opinions? What if you weren't afraid to experience any feeling that came up for you? Something that is really powerful about being coached is that your coach will never let "I don't know" be the final word in a conversation. Your coach is going to keep digging to find out why your brain has thrown out this roadblock. You can get a similar effect like this when you're coaching yourself if you commit to erasing the phrase from your vocabulary and never accepting "I don't know" from yourself as the final word. So as I mentioned, it can be a check engine light indicator. So use this as an indicator that your brain is resisting going deeper, and ask yourself why. Take yourself through those feelings, figure out what you're resisting. It's going to give you a huge new project to work on and really allow you to go to the next level in your life or your business or wherever this "I don't know" is coming up. It is so worth the work to go past it. All right, mamas, short and sweet this week. If you have been loving this series and want to connect with me further, come on over to Facebook and join me and a little over 2,000 other badass mothers in my group, Online Business Building Mamas. Whether you are a mom or not, you are welcome. Although this is women only. Sorry if there's any men who listen to this podcast, but this is ladies only. Whether you're a mom or not, come on over, check it out, join us there. I do a lot of Facebook Live trainings. I do a lot of thoughtful Facebook posts, and it is a great way to connect with me, sort of in real life, in virtual life. All right, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you here next week.